Hello and welcome to the 25th annual Subliminal Deception Podcast, your weekly dose of conspiracy theory bullshit. My name is Cody and I'm joined by my pal Phil. How are you?
Doing good, Cody. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. You know what? Labor Day weekend at work, and for some reason, apparently that means everybody wants to go out and buy a car, so it's been extra busy. How's work been treating you?
It's been good. We've slowed down a little bit, so I actually got the full Labor Day weekend. I was happy about that. So it weighs out. It's
yeah, it's true. How about wizard update? We need a wizard update.
Well, I'm a little worried actually that he might be listening because I came out for lunch, came out of the cafeteria the other day. He was not wearing his wizard hat, and I did not see him today. So I'm a little worried. Possibly he might be a listener. So if you're out there, just know the wizard hat, you're fucking rocking it, dude.
Yeah.
Just keep wearing it.
Not many.
One of these days, I'm going to talk to you.
Not many people can pull it off, and apparently he was pulling it off, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. If you look at him without the wizard hat, you just be like, dude, put the hat back on. Like, you were killing it.
Did he have glasses too?
He does have glasses.
Oh yeah. So what was I gonna ask? Oh, were you a big fan of the remake of It, the first one?
I did watch it. I'm a pretty big fan of the old one. The new one was pretty good. Just because I'm such a huge fan of the old one, I wasn't that into it, but I think a lot of people seem to like it.
So I'm actually pretty pumped because I get to go, like, this Thursday night, I'm going to see the second one. I actually was a really big fan of the remake. I know a lot of people are kind of like lukewarm on it, I guess. You know what I mean? I really liked it. So is it like you liked the Tim Curry Pennywise, which he was the actor from the original one, versus the new kid? Was that kind of what got you?
A little bit. Yeah, I think I think that this It is visually more terrifying, but like just so I don't know how to exactly explain this. I'm not like a film geek, but just how like normal the old It felt more serial killery than a demon. You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, because the old one would lure you in more like a normal human being, and then it would be like a demon. This one feels like a demon the entire time. So I think the old one was a little scarier.
Do you remember the ending of the last one, or the original?
The part 2, when they're older.
Yeah, when they're older, like what Pennywise looks like when they're like fighting him in the last battle.
No, I don't.
He's like a giant spider. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's like a big spider, and they're like, I think they're using a slingshot to like shoot silver pellets at him or something.
A slingshot and little pieces of silver.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember because I rewatched it. We were right in that age group where like everyone's fucking terrified of It because it came out right when we were little kids. And when I rewatched it maybe like a year ago, the very end of it, I was like, I don't know. Him turning into a giant spider or whatever kind of takes away from it for me. But the overall movie's pretty good. Have you ever heard maybe someone will even send us a correction on this, but from what I've heard, the original book, Stephen King goes into like graphic detail about the kids having sex. Like, it's creepy.
No, I haven't actually read the book. I haven't heard about that. No.
I haven't read the book either, but someone has told me about that. Like, he goes into like extreme graphic detail basically about kids having sex, and it's pretty fucking not necessary, I'd say. I know Stephen King's he loves details, but goddamn.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah.
I know, it's like the cast in the second one when they're adults actually has pretty good like layout of people, I think. Like, it has the guy who played Professor Xavier, and it has the girl who played the redhead in the Jurassic Park remakes. I can never remember her name.
Yeah, it has, is it Jim Hader, the tall dude? Is he in it too?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Jim Hader. Or no, Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. Yeah.
Bill Hader, yeah, from like, what's his show right now? Barry on
Barry.
HBO.
Yeah.
Do you like that show?
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes. It was first season, so it looked pretty good.
You thought it was funny though?
Yeah, he's like a actor in training in some improv group, and he's also like, what is he, an assassin or something like that?
Yeah, he's he's trying to be an improv actor and an assassin or something. I don't know. I've had people recommend like checking it out because it's actually pretty good, but I haven't yet. But anyway,
yeah, it feels a little Dextery, but yeah.
Oh, really?
A little bit,
see that.
yeah, tiny bit.
I could see that. Anyway, so we're gonna continue our saga here we did Roswell last week, and now we're doing Area 51 this week for the alleged upcoming invasion. Do you think people are still gonna go through with it? Do you think people are gonna show up there?
Ooh, I think a lot of the internet steam has died down, but I do think that people are just going to show up to like the area. Like they're gonna meet up at like the different, like, well, the different spots. Like there's a like the gift shop area around Area 51. I think people are gonna show up there, like on the outskirts.
From what we'll probably talk about, Rachel, Nevada is where the nearest, like, most popular town near Area 51 is. Have you ever heard of Rachel, Nevada?
No, I haven't. Is it by, like, the supposed mailbox? Like that people always talk about?
I don't know. I didn't see anything about a mailbox. Maybe you'll have to bring it up once we get to, like, the theory section. Because when I was researching this, I feel like I learned a lot about Area 51 might not be quite what we think it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the location very close to Area 51 that I believe all the action is actually at. So we'll start off here. We're going to just go through, basic information. Let's learn a little bit about Area 51. So Area 51 is the common name of the highly classified United States Air Force facility located within the Nevada Test and Training Range. Officially, the facility is called Homey Airport. Homey Airport, I guess, alright. Or Groom Lake. Have you heard of Groom Lake?
I've heard it, Groom Lake. Yeah,
but not Homey Airport?
No, I've never heard of Homey Airport.
It might be Homey. It's Homey. I think that's Homey. Right?
Homey or Homey, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's named after the salt flat situated next to the airfield. Although details of the facility's operations are not publicly known, the United States Air Force says it is an open training range and is most likely supports the development and testing of experimental aircrafts and weapon systems. So obviously that kind of makes sense. If they're telling us that's what's there, they would definitely want to keep that shit secret, right?
Yeah, I've heard of quite a few aircraft that ran through there. You ever heard of the SR-71, the Blackbird?
I have not. Actually, save that piece of information because I'm going to be going through some of the secret airplanes that they were working on in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and that have been declassified. And maybe you can bring up, do you know the year that one was tested there or made there?
I know that it's like a real long time ago. It just became declassified like, I think during the 90s or the 80s.
Okay.
And then they immediately stopped using it once they declassified it.
Well, when I start going through the planes, something I noticed is like, okay, they have whatever program for a certain type of plane, and then they just continuously keep modifying it. So like that plane could have been a direct ancestor or direct result of the earlier secret planes they were working on at Area 51, which is kind of cool, actually. Anyway, Area 51 is located in southern Nevada, roughly about 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. The original rectangular base of 6 by 10 miles is now part of the so-called Groom Box, a rectangular area measuring 23 by 25 miles of restricted airspace. So it got quite a bit bigger over the years. Sorry, you gonna say something, Phil?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Area 51 shares a border with the Yucca Flat region of the Nevada test site, the location of 739 of 928 nuclear tests conducted by the United States Department of Energy. So that's a lot of nuclear tests.
Yeah, no wonder that they don't want people going in there. No, people, just stay away.
928. Holy shit. Have you ever heard the conspiracy that John Wayne was killed by radioactive desert sand?
Yeah, I have heard that rumor that he got radiation poisoning from they filmed on location.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've heard that.
So maybe it was some of the fucking sand or whatever that was taken from here.
Yeah, I just can't believe that they did all of that nuclear testing. Well, I mean, Las Vegas wasn't as big back then as it is now. But, people lived out there,
Yeah.
I can't believe they did that inside the borders of the United States. 900 and how many times?
That's so many. That's so fucking many. I don't know how, maybe, do you think they could have did, mini nuclear tests instead of, large-scale ones? So it didn't irradiate a huge area or whatever?
Yeah, I know that they did do a lot of underground testing.
Oh,
so
okay.
They did some underground testing, down in some, caves. They've done high-altitude testing also, which is really scary to think about, because imagine how far that shit goes when you explode it up in the stratosphere,
That's a very good point. Anyway, the origin of the name Area 51 is unclear. It is believed to be from the Atomic Energy Commission numbering grid. Although Area 51 is not part of this system, it is adjacent to Area 15. Another explanation is that 51 was used because it is unlikely that the Atomic Energy Commission would use a number that high. So almost like they named it Area 51 to hide what it actually was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I keep hearing, you always hear these wackos oh, you think Area 51's the bad place, you've never even heard of Area 54. And oh yeah, what's at Area 54? They're just trying to suck you in. Oh, something I don't know.
But when I heard that, it kind of makes sense, because if someone sees area yada yada, they'll instantly assume it's just the Atomic Energy Commission spot. So if they name a secret base Area 51, then people might be like, oh, that's nothing. That's just the Atomic Energy Commission. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just anything random could be just in there. Right. I can see that.
It makes you wonder, how much other shit are they hiding in plain sight that nobody even realizes?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's so much those old school World War II and then Cold War testing shit that they used to do in cities. Oh yeah, that's just some random office building, and then there was crazy animal genetics testing going on there. You hear a lot about that shit.
It sounds
hiding shit in plain sight.
You know what? Genetic animal testing, Phil. That sounds like an amazing episode for this podcast.
Yeah, fucking. What does Alex Jones call them? Fucking chimeras. I love. It's my new favorite one ever since fucking he was on JRE. Talking about chimeras. It's our joke at work.
Just say everything's a fucking chimera.
Yeah. For about 3 weeks, we said everything was a chimera.
Well, see, you say it so aggressively. That's what adds to the flair of it, too.
No, that's how Alex Jones says it. He doesn't just say chimera. He says chimera.
Does he know what, like, a chimera is in, like, is it Greek or whatever mythology? I think it's like a tiger, bird, snake.
Yeah, he says that it's like an animal-human hybrid is what kind of like he says it is.
Okay.
But I think he just calls it chimera just to, like, give it pop, you know?
Well, apparently he thinks frogs can be gay when I'm pretty sure they're asexual anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. He's got some crazy theories. Some of his theories do hold a little bit of water, but a lot of other ones are a little leaky. So he's great, though.
He is. Just don't believe anything he says. Anyway. Officially, Area 51 is called Homey Airport or Groom Lake, according to the CIA. But in a declassified document from the Vietnam War, it was referred to as Area 51. So, for some reason, way back then, it was supposed to be, Homey Airport or Groom Lake, but the CIA in secret documents was still calling it Area 51. So the facility has also been referred to as Dreamland and Paradise Ranch. Have you ever heard of that?
Yep, I heard both of those.
Oh, have you?
I heard Dreamland. Charles Hall called it Dreamland.
Ah, okay. Right, the tall whites guy.
Yep, the tall whites guy.
I love that guy. He's a badass.
Yep.
So we're going to start talking from the beginning of Area 51. So the airfield on the Groom Lake site began service in 1942 as Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Field. The CIA established the Groom Lake Testing Facility in April 1955 for Project Aquatone, the development of the Lockheed U-2 Strategic Reconnaissance Aircraft. Now, have you ever heard of this thing?
Yeah, so that is the aircraft. So this is how it lands. Basically, they have to have Dodge Chargers run along with it and put the landing gear, like hook it up underneath in order for it to land.
Really?
Yeah, run along vehicles.
Like
they use like Dodge Chargers.
Well, okay, it probably wouldn't be back. Did they have Chargers in 55? Probably. Now you're probably thinking more of the 60s, probably.
That's what they use right now.
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Okay. See, this is the original plane that I was talking about that it seems like a lot of their other planes kind of like came from. You know what I mean? So, which is kind of neat. You ever heard of Project Aquatone?
No, I haven't. That's a cool name, though.
It sounds like a fucking aftershave old men put on.
Yeah.
What if you just go in there and like the whole facility just smells like fucking old people after they shave? Like, God, what is that smell?
Old man Musk.
This is Project Aquatone, baby.
It's classified. Don't ask about it.
So then, Project Oxcart was established in August 1959 for anti-radar studies, aerodynamic structural tests, and engineering designs, and all later work on the Lockheed A-12. This included testing at Groom Lake, which had inadequate facilities consisting of buildings for only 150 people, a 5,000 square foot asphalt runway, a hangar, and a shop space. Groom Lake had received the name Area 51 when A-12 testing facility construction began in September 1960, including a new 8,500 feet runway to replace the existing runway. So they, in the 60s, they began expanding it quite a bit. Maybe that's when the square footage of the actual restricted airspace started to get bigger as well. That's the only thing I can assume. What do you think?
Yeah, I do know that supposedly they increased that runway to service like obviously larger aircraft. But yeah, I think that the plane that I was talking about, the Blackbird, might have been part of this project because they did a lot of aerodynamic testing.
Okay.
Like if you see the Blackbird, it looks very aerodynamic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so in the 1962, during the height of the Cold War, what they would also do at Area 51 is take captured Russian aircrafts, bring them here, try to de-engineer them a little bit, or like figure out the best way to like defeat them, or create a defense against them, which is pretty. I mean, like obviously they'd want to keep that kind of under the radar, obviously. And then
yeah, I can see that. That's a smart thing to do.
Yeah,
and you got plenty of room to dogfight.
Yeah, right. So basically, from the 1960s forward, I believe they got this from like declassified documents later on, that basically the government always would state from this point forward, Area 51 was essentially for creating prototype aircrafts and nothing else. That's what they always said it was for. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So basically, they're not going to tell you if there's something secret there, obviously, but that's what they're saying, and they're sticking to it. The thing that I thought was a little weird is I didn't realize the CIA was so deeply involved with Area 51.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they're taking captured Russian MiGs and reverse engineering them. Of course, the CIA is going to be involved with any kind of like outside intelligence, like Russian, Russian technology coming in.
So that makes sense for for like during the Cold War and stuff, but like they're still involved there. Do you think that's a little weird?
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually think that Area 51 right now is probably as active as it used to be. Just because there's so much focus on it now.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, it'd be stupid to still hold shit there. There's people all over the place on the outskirts, like, trying to catch something. So you'd be kind of dumb to actually have, like, real testing there.
Well, what if they had, like, underground bases or something? Like, you see the base, but you have to go way underground to actually, like, see anything.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. What I mean is, like, overt, like, aerial testing. That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I could see that. That's a good point. Maybe their test facility goes so deep, Phil, that it enters the hollow earth, and then they fly their planes around inside the hollow earth. How about that one?
With the green people.
Yeah.
The green giants. That's true.
They're like
the reptilians.
The perfect crash test dummies, the fucking green people from inside the earth.
Yeah, that's it. We cracked it. That's what's going on.
All right, so now I'm gonna go through a little bit of the security. Most commuters to Area 51 travel on unmarked Boeing 737s or 727s. Planes depart from a terminal at the McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. Defense contractor EG&G owns the terminal. Each plane uses the word Janet, followed by 3 digits as a call sign to the airport's control tower.
I have heard of this.
Have you?
Yep.
The borders of Area 51 are not fenced, but are marked with orange poles and warning signs. The signs tell you that photography isn't allowed and that trespassing on the property will result in a fine, which seemed pretty fucking mellow. When I read it, like, ooh, you take a picture, you're gonna get a fine. Like, that doesn't seem that imposing, right?
Yeah.
The sign also warns that security is authorized to use deadly force on people who insist on trespassing. Patrolling the perimeter will be pairs of men dressed in desert camo, often referred to as camo dudes. I'm sure you've heard these like Area 51 stormers will always be like, oh, here comes the camo dudes.
Yeah, you always, every time you see them like on the road right next to like the restricted area, you always see those Jeeps and there's people like who are just kind of watching you. Like,
yeah.
There's some kind of probably, I'm guessing that they're the, what do you call those? Like the Blackwater? Like
it's
some
funny.
kind of merc security.
It's funny you mention that, Phil, because it's believed by most that all of those people say like EG&G, who owns the terminal, the guards around Area 51 work for companies like EG&G or something called Wackenhut. Never even heard of that Wackenhut.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard of EG&G, but I've never heard of Wackenhut.
That is kind of weird. I mean, Wackenhut. Maybe you haven't heard of them just because they're so obscure. Like, only the CIA uses them, maybe. Like, everyone's heard of Blackwater because they were so overtly used during the wars.
So
but I was gonna ask, are you gonna say what Janet stands for?
No. Do you know?
Just another non-existent terminal.
Ah, okay. See that? You bring in knowledge. Yeah, I didn't know that. So they say Janet, and then I'm assuming the 3 digits are probably random or like particular to a certain plane that's coming in.
Yeah, because every plane needs to have like a call sign for the people in the aerial terminal. Trying to think of what they're called. But yeah, you need to have like a tail number.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying like the unmarked planes that are specifically made to go from McCarran International straight into Area 51. I imagine they'd have to have like a rotating code for like a specific moment for like extra security. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like I'm assuming a lot of planes have their own 3-digit code specifically for that plane, right? And I would assume.
Oh yeah, tail numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like these planes that are made to go to Area 51, which is a lot higher security, they probably like rotate the numbers or something just to keep it so like there's no chance of like someone sneaking in there, like something like that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. So
they're trying to not be doing the same shit every time. Yeah, the same plane, the same everything.
I want to ask you, why would the government be hiring like outside help or outside mercenaries to protect their base? Why wouldn't regular soldiers be trusted to do it?
Well, like a top secret mission type situation like that, I can see you wouldn't want like a regular like army people. Like, I'm trying to think of how a nice way to say this. So you're gonna want more disposable people, I would suppose.
Oh.
You're not gonna want to have some telling their families like, oh, where are you stationed? Like, oh yeah, I'm stationed over at Nellis. Like, what do you do at Nellis? I guard Area 51. You know, like You're not gonna want that. So you're gonna want people who are like signing NDAs. You're gonna want people who know that like not to talk about their job. You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, military has like higher security clearance like levels, but if you're guarding Area 51, you would have to be pretty high up there. So I doubt they would want anyone that high up just being a regular foot soldier grunt around the outside.
So I'm not entirely certain, but what it sounds like is like these mercenaries that they hire to defend, they're only allowed to defend the perimeter of Area 51. They're not actually like allowed to go inside of it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's kind of what it sounds like. So I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of what it sounds like. So
also, I mean, it is part of government property, but I think that there's a rule against having like military, like actual soldiers, like deployed outside of like bases. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So if it's not an official base, I don't know if you can have like soldiers just driving around the outskirts and doing real patrols, like really far out from a base. So I don't know quite how that works, but that might also be part of it. I'm just talking about out of my ass on that one. But I mean, it would make sense.
Honestly, that does make sense though.
Yeah, because there's rules against having soldiers deployed on American soil. So
Right.
that kind of deal.
That honestly makes sense, though. That really does make sense. If you were passing by a base and there's nothing but like troops circling around it or whatever, that might
Yeah.
come off. That might be a little off-putting to the like citizens.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to an American, like an Air Force base, like I've been to a bunch of them, you'll see people like out at Starbucks in their uniform. You'll see just random going to get groceries and going to do this and that. Especially in the U.S. It's not so much in Europe anymore, but yeah, you don't usually see people with their M4s patrolling around the base. That scares the local populace a little bit. So.
Just a little bit. So anyway, back to the subject here. So the protocol for these people is to first observe trespassers, okay? Now, if they step out of bounds any more than like the first whatever perimeter they're not supposed to breach, apparently these guys will call the sheriff, the local sheriff, and then he's supposed to come out there and arrest them so they don't really get involved in any of that. Now, if they go further than that and maybe like the cops can't get there before them, there's the camo dudes will stop them, and then apparently they will take their film or their cameras or anything and seize any photos taken of anything they would have taken of the base or the area or anything like that. So apparently they have the authority to seize all of that. Now,
do they do a little bit of extrajudicial ass kicking like any?
Oh, I guarantee they do. You know they do.
Like give them a little bit of a fucking knot in their head, like just pop them once.
Maybe that's the other thing too that we're not considering, because if you are getting beat up by soldiers outside of a base, that's really bad. But if you're getting beat up by like mercenaries, what are you gonna? You can't do shit. What are you gonna do?
You got the Dale Gribble types, from fucking those mercenaries. Oh, I love that show, King of the Hill. But yeah, whenever I say mercenaries, I always think of him. But no, I mean, if they step out of line, it's a whole different deal. I mean, they might have a whole different set of operation or a whole different set of guidelines that they can do. Like,
oh, I'm sure they
to
can.
To an American civilian.
Right. Well, I suppose it would just be like two citizens fighting each other, kind of, right?
Pretty much. And then if you sue, the U.S. government doesn't get sued. This corporation gets sued.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, never thought of that. Okay, now the final thing is, apparently, on very, very, very rare occasions, if people get too far in, they will bring a helicopter out, and they'll fly like super low to the ground to like intimidate them, which is apparently highly illegal. But if you're invading a base, nobody's gonna really give a shit, right? So, it sounds like they have hardly ever done that. But apparently that's something they will do if you get too far into it.
I'm guessing that helicopter, like, probably I wonder how many steps until they start giving warning shot.
I don't know. I guess people might find out by the time of this recording if they try to storm the fucking base. So I didn't include it in like my conspiracy stuff, but have you heard of these black helicopters?
Yes.
Okay, so have you ever heard that they're like stored here and they're created here and like they have special ones here and all that?
I do know that they had. Do you remember hearing about Osama bin Laden? Getting shot?
Yeah.
Supposedly they used two like almost stealth helicopters in that operation. Apparently one of them actually went down.
Guess did they not test it beforehand or what?
No, so apparently where they flew into, something about how helicopters work. Basically, there was like a wind situation that the helicopter created, which caused it to be unstable.
Oh, okay. Well, from the videos of some of the from the images from some of the videos I was watching, like it looks like the helicopters have two propellers. Like it's like the main. What do you call the top part of a helicopter, Phil? Just
the main rotor head.
Yeah, like it had two of them.
The upper control.
It had two of them, like one on top of one on top of the other. I don't know if that like they can make it quieter that way.
That's what they used supposedly when they took out Bin Laden.
Okay.
Was one with two. So the most famous one with two upper controls is called a Chinook.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Allegedly, they're hidden at this base, or they've been created there. So I don't really know. But anyway, are you ready to start getting into some of the conspiracies, Phil?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So I found this on kind of like a possible list. A lot of these you don't have to believe could be taking place at Area 51. So I'm going to start off with something that will end up being another show eventually. That the moon landing was fake, obviously, right? And it was shot at Area 51. The whole film was created at Area 51. Some people say with the help of Stanley Kubrick, because he made the film Space Odyssey 2001, I believe, or something like that. He's a really good director, one way or the other. So basically, in the very, very, very basic why they would fake the moon landing, they weren't knowledgeable enough to send astronauts to the moon and deal with the lethal amounts of radiation quite yet, but they needed to beat the Russians in the space race, obviously. And they couldn't go to Hollywood and film it because it would leave it too openly exposed. Like somebody there would notice something fishy, you know what I mean? Too many people in Hollywood, so they did it at Area 51 because it's so isolated and like nobody would know what they're doing. And, you know, they have an abundance of sand and all of that shit, right? So,
yeah, that shit would end up in like one of those Hollywood newspapers where they had like a casting call and shit.
Right.
Talking about it.
So, I don't know. Some say it could have been filmed here. Seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people are really starting to believe that. The Russians have always said that they never went to the moon because it was impossible. Because of the radiation. If you look at what the space suits were made out of and what the spacecraft was made out of that went to the moon, they weren't that thick. I don't think really the amount of radiation that it would have to put up with, it would be able to, out of what, compared to like what it was made out of.
So well, that makes a lot of sense. We're probably gonna obviously do the moon landing thing eventually, but are you in the camp that you think that we've literally never been to the moon, or they just faked it that one time?
I think it's possible that we have been there on one of the other missions. Maybe we like made a breakthrough and actually went there, but that first time, I'm just not sure about that because they use so much training photos as real photos. So it's just kind of odd.
Right. And you know what? Like I said, we'll probably end up diving into that on our own. Do you think they loaded up like citizens of Pittsburgh, just shot them up there and seen what happened to them?
They would definitely be the best test dummies for that situation. I mean, like those poor dogs that the Russians send up, they were real cute. You couldn't send those up. Like Pittsburgh folk, I mean.
Yeah, fire them up there. They have a very high tolerance to radiation already, so.
Yeah, they've already been through enough with living in Pittsburgh. They can pretty much handle anything.
All right.
They're hardy folk. Them in Wisconsin nights.
Right. All right, so the next one is weather control. Could it be possible they use Area 51 to control the weather. So according to the National Science Foundation, the U.S. military did actually engage in Project Cirrus, I think it's Cirrus, a research effort in the late 40s and early 50s to find a way to modify clouds and use rain or perhaps whatever as some kind of weapon. Between 1962 and 1983, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration ran a project called Project Storm Fury, in which scientists tried to use cloud seeding to slow hurricanes through, though without much success. And some speculate that they could be developing these weather control, whatever, chemicals or machines or whatever. They're being made at Area 51 because it's the perfect place to like hide crazy shit, basically.
God, sometimes you gotta love like what they name shit, like Project Storm Fury. Like that's so fucking baller.
Yeah,
like,
I know. That's
honestly,
awesome.
If that is a top secret name for something, they're wasting their name. Like for a name that they don't think anyone will ever hear. Like it's such a cool name.
It is. I could
Operation Storm Fury.
But it does fit along the lines of them trying to stop a hurricane, I guess.
Go.
Yep.
Okay. So during the 1980s, you said this happened. I wonder if they had all tried to take out Hurricane Andrew, because if they did, I don't think they did a very good job at all. Like that might be their big failure that kind of sent their funding tanking.
Well, if anything, they must have pissed it off and made it a lot worse.
Yeah, probably.
Is that the worst hurricane ever reported? That one?
Pre-Katrina, I do believe Hurricane Andrew, damage-wise, ever reported.
All right. Well, you know what? That makes. I mean, yeah, that her Katrina was pretty fucking bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, just because of the situation New Orleans is in. But that was actually, like nowadays, it seems like we have a lot more like larger hurricanes. So with global warming, so who knows what's the next big one's going to be?
True that. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to this next part now. This next one, I think, might be one of the most intriguing things we're going to talk about for in all the conspiracy things, and that is the unknown chemicals at Area 51. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this before, but there were two workers who would come forward with lawsuits against the U.S. government for burning chemicals at Area 51. So they claimed they were instructed to burn equipment and deadly materials in open trenches roughly the size of football fields by dousing it in jet fuel and then setting it on fire.
Just the worst possible fucking way to dispose of something.
I mean, I guess they can melt steel beams in there, right, Phil?
Yeah. Jet fuel melts them steel beams. Yeah, that sounds like they have this thing called Shit Lake. I'm not sure what country it's in, but basically, yeah, it depends on like you think about it happening on foreign soil though. You wouldn't think about that shit happening on US soil. There's just no way.
So from this fire, it was a toxic black smoke that was just, permeating out of this thing, just going into the Nevada air. What do you think the workers used to joke and call this stuff? Any guesses?
I have no idea.
Apparently they used to call it the London fog. I guess.
It was that fucking thick, huh?
Apparently.
Well, fucking, you're burning all those alien bodies. No wonder. I mean, who knows what that shit's made out of?
Well, allegedly, they were burning some sort of chemical that they would put on planes to be used as like a stealth coating on the planes.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, I don't know. So the lawsuits were obviously for all the health problems they were facing after inhaling all of this shit. But how the government escaped all the charges was they refused to declassify the information about what they were burning. So then the lawyer couldn't charge them with, like, I don't know, environmental things or whatever.
That would be the greatest trial on earth. Like their lawyers show up with all the evidence. 5 minutes before the trial, somebody grabs all their evidence and just takes a black marker to everything. Sorry, bud, this is classified. This is classified. They show up in front of the judge and the prosecutor with fucking nothing. Like, here you go.
So the lawyer who is suing the U.S. government claims that these clients, he would have to meet with them in like secret hotels or like shady bars or like just to hide from the U.S. government about even talking about what they were doing there. Now, there is another thing that... Okay, how did it go? So they're supposed to burn the chemicals in a EPA incinerator. That's how everybody's supposed to do it. And like they said, they were just burning it in open trenches. Now, it was something like Bill Clinton had made it illegal to sue like secret facilities or something like that. So basically they got out of that scotch-free, and I believe one of the guys who was trying to sue them died of, his cancer or whatever before he could actually like do anything. So they were doing something. They're burning something really fishy there, and that's like literally confirmed that they were doing that, but they don't know what exactly they were burning there.
God damn it, I knew the Clintons were going to pop up in this somewhere. We're just waiting for the other shoe to drop now.
Yeah. Well, you know who's coming. We're saving him for the end. We're saving him for the end.
the meta conspiracy.
All right, so the next one, something you kind of touched on last week was Majestic 12. Basically, real quick recap of it. They just were formed to conceal, collect, and cover up alien sightings and technology and keep it out of the paper, like you mentioned. They're 12 members selected by Harry Truman, allegedly. Now, why they're involved is they believe that they were operating out of Area 51. Like, their home base was Area 51, and they were controlling everything from Area 51. Do you think that's plausible at all?
It is. I don't believe that those main Majestic 12 people would have, all lived in the area at the same time, but it could be one of those things where, the main offices were there. Yeah, it does make sense. It's like, you would want to keep that shit, off the radar.
Right. So maybe some people think that's where they, like you said, had their board meetings or whatever the hell they do. So now, probably the last two conspiracies that I have are obviously going to be the juiciest ones, the ones that everybody's hoping to find when they storm Area 51, and that is
good alien sex. That's what they're all hoping to find.
Alien pussy. That's what they're after there. So yeah, we're going to start talking about the possibly captured aliens that are at Area 51. Now, you had mentioned the alleged alien autopsy video that probably everybody who likes conspiracy theories have seen. And apparently a lot of people think that those procedures were being done at Area 51. They took the bodies from, say, Roswell, and they transported them there and then dissected them or whatever they did to them. A lot of people think they were doing that at Area 51. People also claim they see, at night, you'll see weird crafts coming and going or hovering around Area 51. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I pretty much heard that. If you go there, there's the alien UFO researchers. Any night that they go there, they'll see these strange crafts, like the strange lights hovering above and zipping in and out and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Possibly reconstructed UFOs.
Right. And
alien craft.
We're going to be going into that in the final conspiracy about possibly building alien crafts and all of that stuff. So now, the next part I thought was really cool. Now, a man who goes by the name of Victor, my bad, had allegedly stolen a video of an alien interview in the 90s. Have you ever heard
I
of
love
this
this
guy?
one. Yep.
You've heard of this guy?
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I've seen it.
On July 26, 1996, after several unsuccessful attempts to get a network television company to view and subsequently air his video, Victor contacted Rocket Pictures, an independent home video distribution company based in Los Angeles.
Sounds legit. Rocket.
It sounds like a fucking porn company nowadays.
Yep.
So, company president Tom Coleman then reluctantly agreed to. Say that again. Company president Tom Coleman, then reluctant at first, agreed to produce a documentary based on the video after his first telephone conversation with Victor. Why can't I say this guy's name? Victor. Coleman sought the opinion of outside experts before going forth with making the documentary and invited ufologist Sean David Morton to view the video. Never heard of this guy before. So on March 13th, 1997, Morton, being interviewed by Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM radio show, you remember this guy?
Love it. Yep.
Made mention of the video and described it in great detail, thus marking it the first time the general public became aware of the video's existence. Victor himself also went on Art Bell 2 months later, calling by phone and using a device to alter his voice. Victor went into detail about the contents of the video. Now, I want to play Victor describing the 2-minute and 55-second video. So let's listen to that now because it's actually pretty fun.
Nowhere. It was interrupted, as you'll see.
Can you describe for us what we're seeing?
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person present was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at Biosafety Level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
Well, there it is. Quite a good video, actually. I'd recommend Yeah, I'd definitely check that out if you have maybe 3 minutes on your hands or whatever. I think you can just search Victor alien video or some shit like that. If it is fake, which I think Phil believes it is, then it's done pretty well, actually. It's done not too bad. It looks pretty good for its time, I guess. But
It does look pretty good.
yeah. But like the part at the very end where they're like shining the light in its eyes and it's like kind of freaking out. You think a being that has like an advanced intelligence wouldn't be acting like a wild animal when it's shining a light at it, but I guess that's what it is.
I love it the way that the alien dude kind of like it looks like it's asking for a smoke. Marv, get me a cigarette.
See, it'd be more believable if they literally put a Marlboro Red in his mouth and lit it for him and he started smoking it. Then it would be more believable to me.
That'd be great. It does kind of remind me what you just said, how it kind of acts like a wild animal. Do you remember that movie? It was like District 12.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So all of the aliens in that movie were supposedly like the worker bees. Like supposedly the smart aliens, like either like I don't know if they died or got kicked off the ship or whatever, but like yeah, all that the humans were left were like the dumb ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of reminds me of that. Like that's the dude who got like the aliens were like, oh fine, you want us to send us somebody? All right, we'll send you the guy who mops the floors. Like here you go.
They send him the Cody and Phil of the alien world.
Yeah. Jesus, here you go. Take this fucking
podcaster. Get him out of here.
They're not even Scientologists. Get them the fuck out of here. Oh yeah, folks. By the way, all aliens are Scientologists. They got their thetans all in line.
That's what you look like at the highest tier.
Yep. You're just a super bean. I do love that. It is well made. It's good. Honestly, if you go on YouTube and look up Alien Interview, it's going to pop up in the first 5. And there's probably going to be 4 or 5 of them right there, like in view. So it's easy to find.
It's a fun watch. It's a quick and it's fun.
Yeah, definitely watch that Alien Autopsy and the Alien Interview. It's good.
All right, let's move on to the very final conspiracy, and I'm pretty sure, Phil, you will certainly know this, and I'm pretty sure most of the world will know this. The man named Robert Lazar. How familiar are you with this guy?
Oh yeah, quite.
Yeah,
he's a good one. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but the guy's way fucking smart.
He is.
He's legit in that department.
He is. Now, okay, if you heard in the YouTube video, the thing called S4. Now, S4 is apparently the secret base close to Area 51, from what I'm gathering. I didn't want to go too far into what S4 actually is, because I think that could probably be a whole episode itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So Bob Lazar, if you can muster the patience to watch his Netflix documentary, have you watched it, Phil?
Yeah, it's basically him talking with a bunch of random, like, Getty image shit popping up behind him. Is that the one?
Yeah, and he's bragging about how much he gets rated and all this and how much shit he knows, and it's just like, it's kind of fun, but it's very dry and very boring, and I just kind of get the impression this guy really wants to think he's very important. That's kind of the impression I got out of it, but maybe he's telling the truth. I don't really know. But
a lot of the alien, like, people who want to, like, uncover that shit, they all sort of have that feeling. Like, they're more than willing to go on tour. They're more than willing to make videos of themselves. Like,
right. So, in 1989, Robert Lazar came out. He was remained anonymous at first, but he was claiming that he was part of a military operation that worked with alien technology, and he went on to say that the U.S. government in a hangar has 9 alien spacecrafts at S4, which is pretty close to Groom Lake. Now, Lazar said EG&G hired him to help reverse engineer the technology within the alien craft to use in military vehicles and power production. This is apparently, you probably heard this in the documentary, where he discovered a rusty, heavy substance he called Element 115 that allegedly powered the alien spacecraft, and Element 115, according to Lazar, creates a gravity wave. Do you remember hearing about this?
Yes. He said that they actually published since then, Element 115. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, I don't know if they've actually published it. He claims that they...
Is it on the periodic table? That's what I meant. Like
something like how did he describe it? Like in the documentary, like the physicists acknowledged that it could potentially exist, but they kind of did that normal physicist thing where they're like, it could exist and it could not exist. You know, it's basically like they're giving it the Neil deGrasse Tyson 50-50. They're like,
oh, yeah.
Well, it's possible it could exist, but it's not, they're not sure if it exists or something like that. But if you watch that movie, basically he's saying that the element creates a gravity wave and like nothing can approach it. Like it pushes you back kind of like two magnets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically they use that element to then create thrust because the gravity waves like pull it in a certain direction or whatever. According to him, that's what it is, and that's why the U.S. government wanted it to create hovering ships, I guess, that they apparently never use and will never tell the normal world about, which I don't know. Do you think they would do that?
They would... God, how long would they have had these things for? Like since the 80s, if they are using this shit?
I think before that.
Before that?
Way before
I think that they would have came out with it by now. Because everything else that they come up with, they eventually like use in other shit.
Right.
Or use in their own like fighter aircraft. So like stealth technology. We know about stealth technology. It's not like they're still hiding it. You know?
Well, you've probably...
This is pretty far out there, though.
You've probably heard the thing that, like, basically, allegedly, after the Roswell crash, there was a huge technology boom, and, like, that's where they got lasers and CDs and radios and supercomputers, and, like, all this stuff they allegedly reverse engineer from an alien spacecraft they slowly put out into the public, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There also was a large amount of money going into R&D during World War II. So
see, that's more logical. That's not fun, Phil.
Yeah, I know. sorry to piss on your parade. But.
Now some speculate. Okay, let's say the government has this thing that can create a hovering craft, but they might be just using it to build weapons to combat the aliens. It's like a global defense, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, that would be smart. You wouldn't want to warn people about the aliens because you'd be worried about society breaking down. So you would want to secretly prepare to fight the aliens, but not tell anyone you're preparing to fight the aliens, just so you still have a society to fight for, I'm guessing.
Right.
Also, they've been slow feeding us aliens, supposedly, for, 70 years now? So
yeah, long time.
Yeah. Whenever that other fucking shit drops, like when they finally come out and they're like, yeah, there's, just like they're going to do it all nonchalantly. Like that's how they do it. They'll deny something for 50 years. Then they'll be like, oh, of course that's true. That's the same, like whenever there's those false flag things, like, the Tonkin Gulf, when that came out as a false flag, they're like, oh, of course it was, after denying it for years.
Yeah. So the last thing on Bob Lazar here, do you remember in the documentary where he talks about claiming to graduate with a master's from Caltech and MIT, but there's like zero records that he actually had? He claims the government's trying to like not erase his existence, but destroy his credentials.
Yeah.
but I don't really know. If you're bored and you got 2 hours on your hand, I guess you can watch the Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix. It's not that bad, but just be prepared to like feel like this guy really wants to get his dick sucked by the world, I guess. But yeah, that's okay. Now we got to do before we get into our feelings on the overall scope of Area 51, Phil, I'm going to start with my Barack Obama conspiracy here.
All right.
So I'm going to go with, at Area 51, Barack Obama is hiding his birth certificate. That's where he's hiding it, under like, it's deeply buried in an underground vault there that nobody can access. That's what they're hiding in Area 51.
Now is this the birth certificate that says that he was born in Kenya, or the one that says that he was born on a distant reptilian planet?
Ooh, okay.
It looks like fucking Clark Kent's birth certificate.
Let's go with the reptilian one. Maybe his birthing egg is there. Like, that's where his reptilian egg hatched from. That's why he's hiding it there.
That would make sense. Let's see. That was a good one. Yeah, definitely could be hiding his birth certificate at Area 51. I'm willing to bet that he actually got most of his training out at Area 51. Not Barry Soetoro. I'm talking about when he became Barack Obama. So,
like the
reptilian
okay.
that became Barack Obama. That's what I mean.
So like
I flipped that around.
So like the Manchurian Candidate training?
Yeah, that one. So I'm guessing that Barack Obama probably had a normal human life up until he was assimilated. And that is Area 51, S4 is where Barack Obama got the reptilian, what's that movie? Body Snatchers. The Body Snatcher thing happened to him. That's where they implanted him and formulated him into the future president and the future leader of the dark government.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. So, okay, let's close this out. So Phil, do you believe any of these conspiracies could be happening at Area 51, or do you think it's just simply a, like, I don't know, experimental prototype aircraft base where they just make shit?
I could totally see. Okay, so you said there was a conspiracy about, it was kind of a little one that you mentioned, but how they would dump and then burn like in jet fuel, the stuff that makes aircraft stealth. Without the EPA, like, nosing around and OSHA and all that shit, I can totally see them doing that.
Yeah.
Just like, well, we have to get rid of this substance. Oh, just fucking burn it. I can totally see them doing that. The secret aircraft, I do believe that they actually created a lot of it there, or at least tested it there.
Yeah.
I'll give that one like 95. I'm so sure of that one. The whole dumping shit, it's 50-50. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Either they did or they didn't. What do you think about those two?
Yeah, I definitely think they are mainly using the base for experimental weaponry and aircrafts. I don't even think the chemical thing is necessarily a 50-50. I'm almost positive that's 100%. It's just they won't tell you what they were burning unethically there, because they don't want anybody to know what the chemical or whatever was. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure if that actual chemical is still what they actually put on stealth vehicles. I don't know, because there are some classified parts of those vehicles still. So the real ones.
Well, it sounds like the guys who were coming forward with the health problems, they were burning this stuff in maybe the 70s, late 60s, 70s.
Okay.
So it wasn't like modern. This wasn't like they were just doing it. It's just the lawsuits were just coming up now when they probably have fucking stage 6 cancer or whatever.
They're already like rotting corpses pretty much.
Yeah. And the one guy died before they could even do anything. So, But I will say this. I think that they wouldn't be putting the alien shit at Area 51, at least any longer. I think if this S4 actually exists, it'd be there. Or the, what's the one in Ohio again?
Oh, not Warner Robin. What's that called? I always forget that we talk about it every week, but I keep forgetting what it's called. But yeah, I think that it would be the shit that they probably collected from like Roswell and from Kecksburg. I think is at Ohio. It's where you were talking about.
Yeah. Why can't we think of the name of it now?
I don't know. It might be like they might be
not
onto
Nellis,
us,
right?
So they're fucking our brains up maybe with that shit.
They're shooting radars through our windows and we can't remember.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Goddamn, Barry Sotiro's on the roof of the fucking apartment complex next door, hitting you with the laser. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, it's Barack Obama!"
Brock, what are you doing up there with that big gun? All right, so
I should say supposedly. What do you think about Alien, though? I mean, what percentage would you give that they're actually have an alien, like real alien craft, or like reconstructed? Because I'll give it 3%.
3%.
On the condition that alien craft have ever come here, I would give it about 20. But
no, I'm saying like any base in the entire United States has an alien craft at it.
oh god, that one's higher. I would say that one, probably 25.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. Maybe not at Area 51, but at other bases. I'm saying, like, I think at other bases they probably have one. Probably a base we've never even fucking heard of.
At least the Russians have one.
Oh yeah.
If not, like the United States probably has one, but the Russians, I would imagine, also have one. I think the Vatican might have some fucking bits and pieces from one that crashed somewhere in like 400 or 1400, you know.
That could be.
The Vatican is really where people should be storming. If you want to know about shit, that's where I would storm.
I feel like the Vatican would use more lethal force than the U.S. government would.
Yeah, and you'd probably get a little molested too when they caught you. So you might not want to do that so much.
Little boys, stay at home. Only adult girls go there. Nobody else. All right. All right, Phil. So if any of our fans are storming Area 51 and they want to tell us about it, because if you send us an email about storming Area 51, we will read it on this show. I promise you that.
Guaranteed. Disclaimer. Don't do that, but we will read that email. Guaranteed. We'll read it.
All right. So where can they do that, Phil?
All right. Your email is at subliminaldpodcast@gmail.com. Go ahead. Email us anything you want about Roswell, UFOs, Area 51, storming that bitch. We also have Instagram, Subliminal Deception Podcast on IG. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We love the email, but it's really easy. I check it every day. I'm on there 3 or 4 times. Also have personal ones. Mine's SD Pod Phil. I barely ever check that one, but if you want to see what I've been eating lately, go ahead, get on there. Cody, you got some?
Yeah, you can add my personal Instagram. That is Cody Zabub. Add me on there. You can add my other podcast, Bumblebutt Podcast, on Instagram, or you can search Bumblebutt Podcast on any of the podcast applications that you're listening to this episode on. And the last thing we need you to do is to log on to iTunes, click the 5-star, type something in there, it doesn't really matter, and submit us a 5-star review. It helps the show grow, helps us get to a wider audience, helps us put out a better product. It's just kind of you start small, it'll snowball into something bigger. That's what we're hoping. But anyway, I hope the last 2 weeks with the imminent Area 51 invasion, I hope maybe people will be listening to this while they're storming the gates. That'd be kind of fun. But anyway,
right after they get fucking those sandbag rounds shot into their nuts.
Just don't tell the government that you heard it here, because we don't need them giving us the Bob Lazar treatment. So we will see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.